See, another thing is you were talking about using grits instead of rice. You could do a play on shrimp and grits in sushi.
Oh,
Yeah, because then you'll still
yeah.
have the fish.
That's gonna happen. That is definitely gonna happen.
Future
Um,
episodes, you'll see it.
Welcome to the Flavor Savors, a podcast where two donuts talk about a bunch of schnitzel. Here are your hosts, Mike and Dick.
what's up, Tater Heads? Welcome to the February 18th, 2022 edition of the Flavor Savors. I am Mike.
And I'm Dick. On this episode of the Flavor Savers, we're going to talk about the best of the foods we love.
That's right. Not only the foods that we love, but the cooking methods, the cookware, and everything that goes with cooking the foods that we love.
Well, you know I'm a smoker.
Smoker?
Yeah. I like to smoke meats, you wiener schnitzel.
Gotcha. Yeah. I like to smoke meats too. I like cast iron. I like cooking any way it goes, but those are two of my favorite ways.
Yeah, you were talking about doing some Dutch ovens to your loved ones.
Yeah, definitely. I like to do. I was big in at one point in time, real big into outdoor Dutch oven cooking with the Dutch ovens. It's got like the camp Dutch ovens, the ones that have the legs on the bottom, put the coals underneath, the coals on the top, cook it like that.
One thing we're going to cover today is the best of a topic I hate, actually, sushi.
I love me some sushi.
I know.
I used to
I'm going
go.
to have to let you talk for this part. Tell me about sushi, bro.
Well, here's the thing, man. I used to be one of those guys that went, "Oh man, sushi. Where I come from, we call that bait." But now it's like I can't get enough of sushi. And I was introduced to it. I think I told this story before on the show, but I was introduced to it basically by my son. My oldest son tried sushi, loved it, and one year for his birthday, I said, "I'm gonna take you out to eat. Where do you want to go?" And he told me, and I'm like, "Oh, okay, it's a sushi place. I guess we'll go." And we went. I tried sushi for the first time, and haven't looked back. Man, it's absolutely delicious. I know you're not into it because of the fish, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, give me a breakdown of it because you told me before, oh, you can't have sushi without seaweed, or, tell
Well,
me to break down some parts that, like, oh, I can't have sushi without this part, or this part's interchangeable. Tell me about it like that, so I could wrap my mind around it.
well, when it comes to sushi, there's actually a couple of different things. There's rolls, and that's what you typically think about when you hear sushi is the rolls with the stuff in it, and the rice and the seaweed and everything.
Yeah, we were talking
There's
about I'm a
also
smoker. I know how to roll. Ah,
yeah. There's also sashimi. Now sashimi is the raw fish. It's just straight up raw fish. Sometimes it's served on like a little pallet of sticky rice. Um, so that would probably be definitely out of your wheelhouse. But when it comes to regular sushi, you can have regular sushi without any fish or seaweed involved. It can be literally just rice rolled up with like cucumber and avocado or cream cheese. Basically anything you want to put in there, and really, those are the more traditional styles for the Americas when it was brought over here. Because when sushi was first brought over here, we didn't think anything about eating raw fish. So the Asians that brought it with them created something that would be more palatable to Americans who didn't understand the nuances of raw fish until we got used to it, and then now it's like it can be whatever you want it to be, basically. So yeah, you can have sushi that has no seaweed whatsoever. In fact, there's websites that you can see that have sushi for people who don't like seaweed, sushi for people who don't like fish. This one particular that I was reading the other day, the girl didn't like seaweed, so she's tried it with like It's called inari sushi, and it's basically a very thin pocket of tofu that was fried and soaked in like some flavorful liquids. You can find it dried, so little things like that. They're actually fried sushi. Like you basically just wrap your ingredients in rice and then we'll give it a light batter and deep fry it. You can use soy wrappers. There's all kind of stuff if you're not into the seaweed. And again, whatever you put inside is whatever you put inside. Carrots, cucumbers, artichoke hearts, all kind of stuff that you can find.
I see. I don't. The Asian cuisines, and that's even India, all of the Philippines, Japanese, all the Asian cuisines are not. I'm not a big fan of them, mainly because almost everything they do involves fish sauce in some way, shape, or
Yeah.
form. And even in soy sauce, I can taste the fish. That's how
Well,
crazy my palate is against fish.
that's one of those things that you can, you being somebody who knows flavor profiles and what you like and how things are done, you can actually make your own sushi. I feel confident that you could make your own sushi with zero fish.
See, I've already been thinking about when we do a sushi episode about making like a Hispanic, Central American style pulled pork with my green sauce and a Spanish rice, and then you wrap that in like the I can't even think, the corn husk for the tamales.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah,
then
yeah.
I was thinking about ways I could do it like that, where I could make it, take the
Oh yeah.
Asian out of it completely and put it in a different area like Central America.
Yeah, it's fusion sushi.
Yeah, yeah.
Sushi fusion.
Like I said, we've been talking about sushi in a breakfast manner. I was thinking of stuff like that. I've been thinking
Yeah,
of
see,
different ways for the future sushi episode, but none of
see,
it's
I
going to
was thinking
involve
about
fish.
that too. See, I've been thinking about that too, and I've come up with a couple of ways that you can make a breakfast sushi, and it doesn't necessarily have to look like sushi, but it could kind of mimic it. One of the ways is to make a really thin fried egg. So you basically just scramble your eggs and put them in the pan and just let it cook until it's done. Take it out and let that be like your seaweed. Line your ingredients up in there, your sausage, your bacon, maybe some scrambled eggs, whatever you want to put in there, cheese. And then you put a thin layer of grits down that's like really thick. You put the egg stuff on top of that, and then you roll all that up. So your grits are basically your rice, your egg is your nori, your seafood, and then you got your ingredients inside, and then you slice that up. I'm definitely going to try that sometime. I'll
See,
let you know
my
how that
way for
goes.
the breakfast is I'm still using rice, and I'm doing like we talked about, where I almost like do a fried rice with some egg
Right.
in it. My wrapper's bacon, so I'm just gonna lay out strips of bacon,
Oh,
overlap,
that's a good idea too.
put the rice on top, and then put my like sausage and ingredients and stuff inside that, and then roll it just like, and then bake it off, or maybe even deep fry it. Now that you've said something about deep frying it,
Well, I'll tell you
that's a
something else
way.
too. I grew up. I grew up in a family that liked fried grits. So we would take grits. Anytime we made grits, my mom or my dad would make extra that we knew wasn't going to get eaten, and we had these plastic cups that were about that big around, and probably I don't know 10 inches tall, and they would fill those up with the grits and pack them down real good. Put a little piece of plastic wrap on it, throw it in the fridge overnight. The next day when we got up, we'd slice them about, I don't know, half an inch to 3/4 of an inch thick. Uh, Run that through some egg wash, dip that in egg and then fry that in butter, fry grits. So why not do the sushi like we're talking about and chill that, and then the next day you fry that like that with the egg.
See, another thing is you were talking about using grits instead of rice. You could do a play on shrimp and grits in sushi.
Oh,
Yeah, because then you'll still
yeah.
have the fish.
That's gonna happen. That is definitely gonna happen.
Future episodes, you'll see it.
Oh, you will. I promise you will see that before the year is over with. Because if I tell Jesse and Mac about that, it's over. They will be on me until I make it.
Yeah.
That's a really good idea.
Like I'm decent at deconstructing things and noticing where things could play.
So like chorizo, a little bit of chorizo, shrimp, green onion, and then wrap it in grits.
Bro, and you can just put one slice of green onion through the whole roll.
Yeah. Yeah, just the whole, yeah. Oh. Man.
Yeah.
I'll have to, I might even do the bacon, like the bacon wrap, like you were talking about.
Yeah,
so do the bacon wrap, and then the problem with that
I was thinking that or ham would be a nice wrap.
Maybe a prosciutto.
Yeah,
Prosciutto
so
might work.
anything like that.
Yeah.
Just a nice thin sliced meat.
Oh man,
that works with
breakfast.
running.
Yeah, because I don't think bacon would work in that application especially if I'm coating the outside of it with grits, because you'll never get that bacon crispy.
Well, if you baked it, it would work. You would have to lay the bacon out and then thin layer the grits on there, and then put your stuff in.
Yeah, I probably would
have a bunch of grits unless you did cheese grits and thickened it up that way.
That's true. I could always do the egg wrap, like I was talking about doing. Just do the real thin egg and wrap it all up in there, and then the grits on the outside. That's actually a really good idea, man. I got to do that.
I'm telling you, man, there's so many ways that you could do stuff that thinking of things as just a traditional idea like sushi is just fish that's wrapped in rice and seaweed is it's a detriment to society to think like that. Let your brain wander. One of the worst things I've ever done in my life was taught my kid how to imagine, because now he's just annoying. But man, like, he'll sit on the toilet and sing a song that he is making up on the spot. It's the most annoying thing ever, but I can't stop him from doing it because I want that imagination. Because when he grows up, that's when you get to unlock your imagination and do whatever you want.
Bram, you've got such a vivid imagination. Where did you get that vivid imagination? My dad used to let me sing songs on the toilet.
Before that, I had to teach him how to imagine, because he had zero. You would put him in a room by himself, and if there wasn't a video game or a show, he didn't know what to do. Right. He'd have toys everywhere, and he could push a car, but that would be the extent of it. Legos, you give him Legos, he didn't know what to do with them. He couldn't figure it out. No imagination whatsoever. So I had to go, look.
Very vivid imagination, especially when it comes to food, because like you could cook a full delicious meal that you never have to put a sauce or a pinch of seasoning on the plate. It's already seasoned so well that it's delicious the way it is. It's a masterpiece. And the boy will take a bite and go, "Oh, this is so good." You know what would make it even better? And his mind just automatically jumps to something else. And I'm not talking about just the dipping it in ranch, which he likes to do a lot.
Yeah.
But like he'll come up with stuff off the top of his head, and it's hit or miss. Sometimes it's a really good idea, and sometimes it is a really bad sounding idea. But in that moment, I just go, it sounds interesting. I don't know that I would like it, but we could try it.
Yeah, if you've got the money, let them fail, because failure is such a big part of life. I tell my son that it's not okay to fail. You don't want to do it, because a failure could be you failed and someone got hurt. So always try to stop failure. But it's going to happen. There's nothing you could do about it. Failure's always around the corner. It's not okay to do it, because like accidents and stuff like that, that's not okay, because it could cause your small accident could be someone else's life. Yeah. So try to avoid accidents, but they're going to happen. Failure is always an option. It's a bad option,
on the severity of the failure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you don't want to fail driving.
Exactly. It's going to happen. The odds are you are going to fail driving.
You don't want to fail as a pilot. There's little things like that. There's no room for failure.
Well,
There's no
even
room
in
for failure.
everyday
But
life, he's in the kitchen and he's messing around, not thinking around, and he
sure,
falls into me, and then I cut my hand.
right.
That was a small accident that caused a big problem. That small failure was not cool, but it happened.
Or
We just
or
move
let's
on,
well, let's make it more extreme. You're deep frying something, and you've got a handful of something. And anybody that's ever deep fried anything knows you don't just throw a handful of something in the grease. You slowly add it, little chunk by little chunk. Especially if it's frozen, you're in the kitchen. He bumps you. You got a whole handful of something in your hand, and it all goes in the grease at one time and overflows, and then the whole kitchen catches on fire. That's horribly detrimental.
Yeah. I mean, luckily, all the deep frying stuff I have, even if I'm just deep frying on the stove, glass top electric stove, so I can overflow anywhere and it's cool. But he has got me
Yeah.
burnt so many times. Like,
Yeah.
I got a burn right there. That's Bram. Bumped into me, and I bumped into an open stove rack.
Yikes.
It happens, but
It happens.
But my point is, teachers and everyone are always telling kids accidents are okay. They're really not. You want to try to avoid accidents at all points, but when they happen, you've just had a learnable moment, so it's not
Yeah.
all bad.
Failure is going to happen. Learn from it.
Yeah,
So that it doesn't
I'm
happen
always
again.
trying to teach any kid that I come in contact with, like, don't accident. It's going to happen, but just don't. Well, what if I do? Well, then we move on from
Learn
there,
from it. Yeah.
and we learned, but that accident could have been something really bad. It might be something small. We're not going to harp on it, but how about we don't do that again?
Well, it's like my oldest son was talking about one time somebody asked him, do you have any regrets in life? And he said, no. None? You don't have any regrets? Nothing that you would have gone back and changed or done a different way? He's like, no. He's like, well, what do you mean? Well, I've never killed anybody. Nobody's ever died as a result of something that I did. Nobody's ever been seriously injured because of something I've done. So everything that I've done, even if it was bad, has led me to be who I am today. And he takes credit for his failures along with his successes. And that's part of why is because he's had those failures and he's had those times to make those mistakes. People always say, your kids need to learn from your mistakes, and that's true. But, when it comes to stuff like in the kitchen, let them learn from their mistakes. You can let them learn from their mistakes on a level that's not hazardous to their health or their life or anything like that. And in the kitchen, that's a lot of that is like that when you're talking about food stuff. Now, knives and pans and fire and stuff like that, you don't want them to make too many mistakes on.
Here's the thing, though. Even in the kitchen, sometimes that's. I was with a chick, and long story short, there was a 4-year-old involved, and when she was 3, just like Bram and any kid I've ever raised, when I'm in the kitchen, they're in the kitchen. So
Right.
she was. We had like you have the electric eye round stovetop. And I've always told her, don't touch that. It's hot. And it doesn't matter, every kid that I've ever been around, the second you're not looking, they want to push that boundary.
Yeah, I try to touch it.
I don't understand if it's the beautiful orange glow, what it is, but that's the boundary they're going to push, and they touch it, and then they scream, and you turn around, and it's blistered immediately.
Tears.
Yeah, every time. You can tell them all day that accident you don't want to do. And the second they do it, they realize that's an accident I never want to do. But they're not going to listen until they do it. And that's just the way kids learn.
Well,
So,
and they'll still hit that eye again, but not intentionally. Not like they just did intentionally.
yeah, they're never going to go, oh, that's pretty. Fink! Because I heard it.
Oh.
When she touched it, I heard it.
Oh, yeah.
I explained it to Bram. And the way I explained it to Bram was I said, give me your hand. And I turned on the eye, and I put his hand about that far above the eye, and I said, you feel that? Yeah. That's why we don't touch that. Because you're not even touching it yet, and it already burns. He didn't get burnt, but he could feel the heat, from that far above it. And it's like, here, look, don't make this mistake and I'll show you why.
Yeah, don't touch this. The place that I'm putting your hand right now, you got about an inch of play right there, and then you're going to be blistered, and that's not fun. It's not fun.
Well, not only that, but
Well,
in that inch of play, he could already feel that it was a bad idea. His mind
oh, yeah.
already was like, bad idea. He's never touched a stove.
Well, see, then you start talking about things like, okay, well that you know, you got cookware that has the cool touch handles, and the pan could be screaming hot, but the handle is not. Cast iron is not like that. Cast iron, when it gets hot, you will blister your hand on the cast iron.
No, check it out. I've got a piece of silicone that you slip over the handle.
Oh, I've got, yeah, Jesse actually makes the little padded
The sewn ones?
handle covers. Yeah. She
No,
actually makes
bro.
those.
I got one that came with my first piece of cast iron, the one that's not a lodge. And it came
Right.
with the silicone handle that's custom fit to slip over and like
Oh,
it
yeah.
locks in. And I have pulled that thing straight out of a 500-degree oven, grabbed that silicone handle and pulled it out. And I mean, it was hot, but it didn't burn me.
Wow.
It was nice.
That's pretty interesting. Yeah, Jesse was talking about things, you know, because she sews. She makes a pretty good living just being a seamstress. And she was talking about, oh, what's something else I can make? And I said, you know what I want you to make me? I want you to make me some handle covers for my cast iron. And she said, oh yeah, I could do that. And she got the material for it, and she made a couple of them, and they needed to be a little thicker, so she made them again, and they're perfect. I mean, like I can grab something out of the oven, out of a 500-degree oven, and hold it indefinitely without burning myself, because it's insulated and it won't burn me.
So she needs to do the same thing on the other side, but make it where there's a magnet in the middle. So when you put it over, the magnets are sewn in, but they touch. And then you have it on the other side too for that wide handle.
Oh, I just used an oven mitt for that.
Yeah, but you know, boop, you can do a little set and charge more and
That'd be
really
cool.
get people.
Oh yeah.
Especially magnets are cheap. I got for like $10, I got it's like 50 or so of these
rare
little
earth
guys.
magnets.
Yeah, I got them for the D&D stuff that we ended up buying a video game for. But they're pretty strong little magnets. Whoop.
We play, for those of you listening that don't know, we play Dungeons and Dragons on Friday nights on Twitch. On it's twitch.tv/HumanGammaBomb. We'll put the link in the description. Come over and hang out with us on Friday nights.
Yeah. And Friday evenings before that, we live stream these episodes. We do a watch party on Twitch at 1 p.m. So Fridays are pretty packed full of fun.
We're in there hanging out in chat, so you come and chat with us live while we're running the episode on Twitch.
I was thinking about making a commercial using green screen work, of course. But you could start listening to us on the audio podcast while driving to work. And then you get to work and you get to your desk and you pick up listening to us on YouTube where you left off on the drive. And then when you go to lunch at 1, you come in and watch with us live and we'll talk about it.
That's right. You got things you want to talk to us about, talk about it. You know, leave it in the comments on the YouTube video or whatever, or you can come over to the Twitch channel and drop us some comments there while we're in there streaming it.
And we'll probably do an open voice channel soon when we're hanging in there. But we're in there the whole time. We do a live watch party the day it drops at, like I said, around lunchtime, 1 p.m. Eastern. We just sit there and we watch it right along with you guys.
We might do the open voice channel on for Patreon.
Yeah, something like that. It's a future thing. Right now, we just sit in a voice channel and talk to each other while it's going.
Yeah.
And like, man, we should have done this different. I like that, but I don't like, we critique ourselves.
make little mental notes and hey, that was really good. We need to do more of that, or that really was not very good. Let's not ever do that again.
Yeah.
Which we've had way fewer of those than we have though. That was really good.
Well, just enjoying what we're doing. So, we don't care if it's really good or not. We're still having fun with it.
Yeah, we're having fun. It's all good anyway.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that do podcasts that like have a strict format and they're scripted. We don't do that. We're flying by the seat of our pants. Natural conversation flow. Whatever we say, and there you go.
Yeah, and when I edit it, I never take a part and go, oh, this sounds better over here. It's just the flow of conversation.
Yep.
I take out when we cuss or something, but other than that, it's there and it's good.
Yep. And we've talked again in the beginning, in the very first episode, we talked about how the podcast came to be. That we've played video games together for years, and every time we play, or every time one of us were streaming video games, the other one was in chat. It always came up about food. We've always talked about food. He would talk about what he made, or I would talk about what I've made, and we would just get on this food conversation. So it's just literally a continuation of years of conversation we've already had, and we just keep adding on to that. So that's all this is. It's just me and him chit chatting about food, which is natural to us.
Well, just getting in depth with stuff where we couldn't before because we had something holding our attention, like a video game or something. Whereas this, we just talked about different ways you can do sushi that makes it not even sushi, and ways you could take it out into another area, another a fusion, if you will, like he said, take it to like Central America and out of Asia. The next topic, potatoes. It's another thing like that where potatoes are all over the world. They go in everything, and it all depends on how you cook them, and there's 150 million ways to cook them.
And spoiler alert, we're going to be testing those theories next month during the month of MASH. So make sure you join us for that. There's a little spoiler alert for you.
Yeah.
Little nugget of forethought. So yeah, there's so many ways to cook potatoes. What do you think your favorite? What are your top 3 ways that you like potatoes?
Okay. I was gonna say we kind of touched on this topic in episode 5, where my favorite way is mashed, just because the ways that you can use mash, you could top things, you can make pasta, you could fold it in, you could deep fry it, you can make it into chips, you could dehydrate it, you could just put stuff in it, there's just so much that you could do with a good mash, which we're going to explore next month in detail. But a nice thin slice goes good because I can au gratin that. I can, put any sauce vessel with that, and I could deep fry it to potato chips, blah, blah, blah. There's, yet again, so many different things you can do with just a thin sliced piece of potato. And then just chopped and baked with like a roast or by themselves. Well, anyway, just chopped and baked is good.
Yeah, I love a good roasted potato, especially like those red potatoes, the smaller ones. You take and cut them into cubes and throw them in there, some rosemary and garlic and olive oil. Oh, my mouth's starting to water now because I love potatoes. I love roast potatoes. I love fried potatoes. Any way you can cook a potato. I don't think I've ever had a potato cooked any way that I didn't like it.
No. As a matter of fact, you were talking earlier about peeling potatoes and using those scraps. In earlier episodes, we talked about it, making compost, making stocks. I never have potato skins because I always leave my skins on because that's how much I love potatoes.
Yeah, I like dirty mashed potatoes. I also like to.
Well, I mean, I clean the skins. I'm not eating them. I know what you're talking about. Leaving the skins in is what he's talking about.
Yeah, leaving the skins in the mashed potatoes. I also like to split a potato in half, bake it, scoop out the insides, mix the insides with butter and chives and whatever else, and then put it back in the skins and put it back in the oven.
The old twice baker.
The old twice baked potato. I love it.
How much time we got left? Because I could talk about potatoes for the rest of it.
Probably another 30 minutes or so, but we could probably talk about potatoes for another 3 days, to be honest with you.
The mash. We're going to talk about so much potatoes. And it's just going to be mashed parts of the potato. Also, all the other things that you can mash, which we're going to blow your mind with ideas of things you can mash.
Oh, yeah.
Like normal, we're going to go as far as we can into the world of mashing things.
We're not just talking about strictly mashed stuff, but it's more like whole things that are broken down.
Yeah.
So
you'll
let
see.
your mind wander on that. Yeah. You'll see. It's going to be very interesting.
I can't wait. Oh, man, some of these future episodes, like getting to here, I couldn't wait to talk about potatoes. And now that I'm talking about potatoes, I can't wait to talk about mashing potatoes. I'm always like, oh, man, I can't wait for the future content we have, guys. It's great.
We talk about it because we plan stuff. We have a whole system where Dick mainly has done a lot of organizing in our Gilded. That link will be in the description down below. Make sure you come and join us in Gilded and join the conversation. But we have a whole section to where everything's broken down. We've already got all the months lined out. We've already got the format lined out for each month, and we're starting to fill that stuff in. And man, some of the stuff that we've got lined up, it's gonna like you said, it's gonna blow your mind.
Yeah, like I said, you wouldn't think about all the things you can do with potatoes, but let me spend 30 minutes telling you. You could hash them, you can mash them, you can slash them, you can crash them.
Well, let's not get too wound up on potatoes because there's something else that we've got in here that you absolutely love, and that's smoking meat.
Yeah. And I mean, before we even get into that, my meat smoker is cast iron. Because I love cast iron so much, I decided to get a smoker made out of it.
That's where I'm headed, but right now I've just got a little rinky dink. It's a small one, but it does the job. It's good for. Honestly, what happened was one of Jesse's friends found it on the side of the road and said, "Hey, this is on the side of the road. Do you guys want it?" And we're like, "Yeah." She brought it over and we fired and cleaned it, and I've been using it ever since.
I've said before, if you got a electric burner that you can put outside in a cardboard box, I could teach you how to smoke out of a box.
Yep.
It don't matter how you smoke as long as you smoke.
That's right. We're excited for spring to roll around and the warmer weather to start because we get outside and do more cooking out there. But once I get my cast iron, my Dutch oven, stuff like that out of the storage, get it all cleaned back up and re-seasoned and ready to go, I'll go outside and cook. Doesn't matter what the temperature is. It could be 95 degrees or 5 degrees, and I'll go outside and cook.
Schnitzel, you know me. I will smoke in the snow. I don't care.
No, smoking a torrential downpour.
My smoker could be underwater, and I'd be trying to figure out how to get them coals relit.
Yeah, they're snorkeling, trying to relight the coals.
It's like, hold on, the chimney's ready. Oh man, I would try to dig straight to a volcanic shelf or something. Something would happen where my smoker would work underwater.
So you said chimney. You use a charcoal chimney?
Oh yeah, 100%. I'm
a lot of people that I've
never
watched
using fluid.
Oh yeah, definitely not the fluid. But there's some people that like it. To me, that it just takes too long to light. They basically light a campfire and then start adding charcoal to it. And to me that just takes way too long. I use a charcoal chimney. Not that it's a bad method, but I use a charcoal chimney because the other method is just too slow for me.
Yeah, it's a smart method.
To get things started.
Because all I use is newsprint because support your local newspapers by buying their print and burning it. And then I just squirts that with some vegetable oil just so it'll burn slower. Stuff it in the bottom of my chimney, fill it with charcoal, and let it go. I don't strictly wood smoke. Oh, it makes it so much better. Every time that your chimney went out because all the paper burned or you overstuffed it or understuffed it, it fixes that problem.
It's happened.
Yeah, it will never happen again. You just spritz some. Also, what I do is I season my whole smoker because it's cast. It's
Right.
wheels to pipe cast, the whole thing.
Wow.
Yeah,
Holy cow.
the whole thing.
That's
So
crazy.
I take that newspaper, I spray my whole smoker down every time I use it, and I
Right.
take that newspaper and I just kind of rub it all in everywhere,
That makes sense. And it kind of gets
and then
all
it,
the oil on the paper. Yeah.
yeah.
We use because we get so much stuff from Amazon, Jesse, especially since she orders supplies for her business from Amazon, but we get a lot of stuff from Amazon, so we always have packing paper.
Yeah.
Always have packing paper. So I'll just take a piece of that packing paper and wad it up and put it in there because we don't get a newspaper, and I'm not going to go buy a newspaper just to use for that.
I just
Now,
like
now
using it because it's easy and it's nice.
I might buy a newspaper and lay it out in the garden for weed barrier, but that's a different story.
Yeah, you can even use your charcoal bag. And
Yeah.
even if your smoker's not cast, as long as it's not like a green egg or something like that, if it's just metal, go ahead and season the outside of it, because then all that oil, all the rain will just bead right off of it, and you don't really ever have to worry about covering it.
That's a good point. I hadn't thought about that. I'm gonna have to buy some oil just to do that with.
I get my firebox up to 1,000 degrees sometimes, so the outside of my firebox has gotten so hot that the cast is broken off of it.
Holy
So
cow.
I always have to keep that oiled, or it'll rust up on me real good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I've
I'm gonna have
filled
to.
that thing and had to get the whole thing up to 350 to 400 degrees, and the only way to do that is to get that firebox rolling.
Oh yeah. Get it
So
completely burning.
yeah, so I've had that firebox pushing 1,000 degrees out the hole.
1,000 degrees out the hole.
That's another name of a band. If you guys are keeping
That's
track
right.
of band names,
Band
1,000
names.
degrees out the hole.
That's me after Taco Bell.
When you blow your whole donut out, 1,000 degrees
Hey,
out the hole.
how much hot sauce did you put in this? Because my donut's on fire.
My donut's a little picante.
I have a picante donut.
Oh
And it's
man,
not fun.
maybe pork should be picante.
Oh my god. Maybe it's picante pork.
Eating a little picante, are you?
Yeah. I like to dip my wiener in the picante.
Oh yeah.
You want a hot dog?
A little picante dog, a little schnitzel on that.
Nope, no schnitzel. Nope, no schnitzel.
Maybe you know, maybe you don't know. We don't know. We don't care. We're just having fun with
You'll
it.
learn. You're
Yeah.
gonna learn. You're gonna learn.
But yeah, like I said, even if your smoker's not cast iron, it's always a good idea, unless, like I said, it's like a green egg or something that's been coated. It's always a good idea just to rub it down with a little oil, because we've talked about cast iron in a couple different ways we're going to talk about in the future. But opening up that cast iron, or opening up that metal with heat, all metals do it.
Yep.
So when even if it's just iron or whatever, your steel or whatever your thing's made out of, when you open it up, that oil being on top of it, it'll kind of go into it and almost act like a seasoning, but mainly just so no water penetrates. Just it beads off. You don't have to worry about rust as much with it being an outside piece of equipment.
Right.
But always season your cast iron.
Always season it. And listen, you'll get cast iron. If you get a brand new piece of cast iron, it will 99% of the time say pre-seasoned. It is pre-seasoned, but you need to take it a step further, and you need to wash it good with like a Blue Dawn and warm water and a light scrub brush. Just wash it real good and put it in the oven. That's how you start your seasoning. The reason why you put it in the oven is to make sure it gets dry, because no matter how much you towel dry that or hand dry that, it's still going to have some water on it, and that will immediately start to rust the pan. So wash it, put it in the oven, and then start your seasoning process with whatever oil, grapeseed oil or bacon grease or whatever it is that you're going to use to season your cast iron.
Bacon
Do it
grease.
like that. Bacon grease, 100%.
Like, you don't have to do it every time with bacon grease, but man, it should be most of the time bacon grease. I've even done some. We've going to talk about beef tallows and things like that. I've done some beef tallow wipes.
Yep.
Some good old brisket fat wipes.
Regular old lard, just
Yeah.
standard lard.
Just get the
Oh,
grease on it and then get it in the oven, get it heated, get it opened up. And then
my
the
gra-
possibilities are literally unlimited.
my grandmother and grandfather used to argue over the cast iron because she always did it in Crisco, which was fine. She always did it in Crisco, but he always did it in bacon grease. And he was a cook in the army, so it was one of those times where he was a cook in the army in World War II, so they tried to use everything.
Yeah, and here's the
Uh,
point. He's right, but she's not wrong.
right? Yeah, exactly. He was right. She was not wrong, but he was right.
100%.
But they would, she'd say, Ralph, what'd you season the cast with? Bacon grease. Lucille, what do you think I did it with? Now I like Crisco. Well, you do it with Crisco, I'll do it with bacon grease, and we'll have a good cast iron. Don't worry about it. And
I was going to say.
they had cast iron, man, that you could have fried an egg in with zero butter and flipped it with no problem.
My cast iron, I can make a gravy in it. Let that gravy sit overnight. And then the next day just go shrink with the rubber spatula and all the gravy comes right out.
Yep. Mine's a little more porous than that still, but it's to the point that I can do the same thing and then just run a little water and a little brush in it and it'll be fine.
Yeah, like well, not only that, but like I've said in other episodes, I like to like every other month, whether it needs it or not, I like to put a season on it.
Oh yeah.
Just because
Definitely.
you can never over season it. Ever.
Well, I always so I'll cook something in mine, and depending on how greasy what I cooked in it is, I'll not reseason, but add another layer of seasoning to it. Typically, if it's greasy enough that when I rinse it off in the sink, in the hot water with just a brush, if I can see it beating up, I'll just wipe it out, throw it in the oven to dry off, and I'm done with it. But other times I'll do that, throw it in the oven to dry it off a little bit, pull it back out, put some bacon grease on it, because again, then it's opened the pores back up, it's ready to accept some seasoning, and then throw it back in the oven. And one thing that you said earlier that I wanted to hit on and I forgot to is you said you put your cast iron in upside down in the oven, and I do the same thing. And for those of you listening that don't know why you want to put it in upside down, is because if you have too much oil in the pan and it starts to pool up, it'll mess up the seasoning in your cast iron, and you'll have hot spots and cold spots, and you don't want that. You want to make sure that it's seasoned as evenly as possible, so you get an even cooking temperature all the way through.
Not only that, but you want it seasoned evenly throughout the handles, the outside, the inside, the rim, inside every little letter. You want the whole thing completely coated. And then when it's upside down, it's designed where everything will beat off and drip if it's too much. So everything is even. Because the most important part about it is that everything is evenly coated because you'll have, like he said, hot spots and cold spots, or a spot where nothing sticks and then everywhere else it sticks completely.
It sticks, right. Or vice versa. You'll have a good seasoned pan where nothing sticks except for one little spot, and that can completely ruin like a pound of cornbread or something.
Yeah.
You don't want to do that.
Man, every time that I do like Thanksgiving or anything, I make dressing instead of stuffing. My cornbread's made in my cast. My biscuits, I don't care. I'll throw those in a cake pan or whatever just because they're going to be destroyed and mixed with fats and whatnot. But every time the cornbread is in cast, just because I don't think about it, it just happens,
When we have cornbread, like when we have a pot of beans or whatever, and we have cornbread, I always make a 12-inch pound of cornbread in cast iron. And we don't typically eat the whole pound. So there would be, half or, a third left, and that automatically gets crumbled up, put into a bag, and put in the freezer ready for stuff like that. And I have gotten to where I know exactly how much bread I need. So once I get to that amount, I'll go ahead and put my seasonings in there, and literally all I have to do is take it out of the freezer and mix it with the wet ingredients, and there's my dressing ready to go. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, a pound of cornbread is literally just a loaf or oval-shaped cake of any type of bread, especially cornbread. That is dictionary.com's definition of pone.
Yeah. Anytime you make it like you're making a cake of cornbread,
If it's
Yeah.
not muffins or cornbread sticks, because I've got cast iron that I'm sure you guys have seen it. I'm sure Dick probably he may even have one. It's a pan about that long, about that wide, and about that long, and it's got like
Corn?
6 or 7 corn shaped holes in there, and you just fill it up with the cornbread batter and makes cornbread sticks.
Yeah.
Literally makes corn sticks.
I know people who will make like a cornbread cake. It's just a cake, but using like cornmeal. It's not.
Johnny cake.
It's so much sweeter than cornbread.
Yeah, so just
And
call
then
it a Johnny cake.
they'll fill those with that.
Yeah,
That's
good to dip in syrup and stuff. Ooh, it's like breakfast. That's like a breakfast cornbread, basically.
or just to eat with your mouth.
Yeah, with your just to eat with. I mean, what else are you going to eat it with? A donut.
Like I don't even have to have it with anything but my mouth, though. That's the thing. All I need is this hole, and it's good.
You're talking about cornbread and stuff, though. We're not. This is not a cornbread episode, but it is a cast iron episode, and I don't make cornbread unless it's in cast iron. My family has always had like cornbread and buttermilk. You take a piece of cornbread and throw it in a glass, crumble it up in a glass, and pour buttermilk over it and eat it like that, or sweet milk, either one.
Yeah. Well, I use regular milk with a little bit of sugar because I don't put sugar in my cornbread because I'm not dumb, I guess. Sorry to all you people who put sugar in your cornbread.
You're not dumb if you put sugar in your cornbread, but I won't eat it.
Yeah, but when I cover it in milk, I'll put sugar on that. Or a thing that when I grew up we called Po Flakes. You take some saltine crackers and you crunch those up, and then you do the same thing with sugar and milk. If you're too poor for cereal, you have some Po Flakes.
Have some Po Flakes. I like that. I was actually, it's funny that you say crackers. I was watching some videos this morning on YouTube, and one of the things that I watched, and it's never hit me about this, but it makes the most sense. If you've got like a pack of crackers or a bag of cereal or whatever, some kind of snack like that, or crunchy food like that, they get stale. You know how to keep them from not keep them, but you know how to rejuvenate them after they've gotten stale? Put them in the dehydrator. Dehydrate them, because that's the reason why they're stale, is because
take the hydration out of them.
Yeah, take that hydration back out and it gets them crunchy again.
I didn't even think about that. That's
I never thought about it either, but it's freaking genius.
That
man.
was someone with that BDE going on. They had that. They had that big energy.
Oh yeah, big old energy.
The big wiener energy.
Big cucumber energy.
I forgot we have multiple words for that. Oh man!
Or for you teeny boppers, we're talking about an eggplant. Okay.
Speaking of smoking meat. Oh man! All meats, briskets, chickens. I'll smoke shrimps and I'll smoke a hamburger. I don't care.
Sausages, man. That's some of my favorite. Is just a good smoked sausage. Now I love brisket and I love chickens, but man, just a good smoked sausage. I love it when you smoke meats, because you always put pictures on like Twitter and stuff, and that big coil of sausage that you always have on there, man, it just makes my mouth.
I was just about to talk about that. At one point in time, I was spending way too much on the like Slim Jim style packages of sausage that you get at the store.
Right.
Where it's just like a little pouch and it's a whole bunch of sticks of sausage. I was spending way too much money on that. And I was like, man, I've got a smoker. I've got a sausage stuffer. I got a meat grinder. What am I doing?
Why am I buying someone else's meat products when I can make my own?
So I made 180 feet of sausage. And that's the picture you're talking about. Yeah. I had 5 different types of sausage. I had regular, just pork sausage, and then I had my asparagus sauce that was put into a beef sausage. I had a pork sausage with Goldie's pork sauce, my green sauce that I make.
Right.
I had a chicken with J. Mitch's Wean Out sauce, which is a hot sauce that I make for like buffalo wings.
Right.
And then I had a Coleman barbecue beef sausage, which is like a Tennessee style barbecue, really sweet, a lot of molasses.
Right, right.
And I had those 5 different kinds, and then I put them in the smoker for a good 14 hours.
One of the things that I would really love to have a sausage stuffer and a meat grinder for is liverwurst. You actually take pork liver and make your own liverwurst, and I'm really excited about that. It's pig season. Later this month or early next month, we'll be taking the pig to slaughter because that's they're raised for slaughter. They get shown throughout the season, but we get to line up what kind of cuts we want, and I'm going to make sure that I get them to keep the liver and some of the other stuff. So pretty excited about that. I'm going to try to make some liverwurst.
Yeah, some of that offal we've been talking about this month.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. In fact, next episode you get to see us. We're talking about liver and onions, and we're going to actually cook liver and onions in different ways.
Yeah,
Pretty excited about that.
Just like we did with the jam, we're going to show off some of it. It's leftovers heated up, but it's cooked by us the night before.
What are you thinking you might cook? How do you think you're going to cook yours?
Oh, well, I cooked some calf liver, I cooked some beef liver, and then I had my wife buy more beef liver, and then I deep fried that. I don't want to get too much into it and spoil what we're going to talk about.
Little bit of spoiler alerts.
Yeah, but
one of the spoilers is we're both making liver nuggets.
Yeah, we're both going to cook it in different ways. As far as I'm going to cook it in a deep fry, like almost like a chicken nugget or a chicken tender, and I'm also going to cook it in a pan sear, which you're going to do the same thing, but in completely different ways.
Yeah, I'm planning on taking and chopping up a piece of liver and making it almost like a fritter for my nugget, and then I'm going to do a standard batter and pan fry, and then I've got something that I'm going to try that I've never done before, and that's just to straight up cook it in butter. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, mine I'm going to do bacon and stuff. Speaking of cast iron, I'm going to get a new piece of cast iron, show you guys how to season that off with some bacon since I'm going to be cooking it.
Nice.
Tons of onions, flour dust, pan fry. We'll get into it next episode. But it's, like I said, it's going to be the same way you're doing it, but yours is still different than mine. Cause,
I'm pretty excited, man.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what you come up with, but I'm also excited to eat what I cook. I love liver, man.
Yeah, well, because I'm going to have a gravy. You're just going to be just straight liver and onions. You're going to have something that's kind of like a gravy, but not going to spoil it. And
no spoiler alert.
And then when we do the nuggets, mine is just pieces of liver, double breaded, deep fried, and his is a mash made into a nugget, floured, and then pan fried. So it's going to be completely different.
When he says pan fried, it's like pan fry like you fry potatoes or like you fry,
pan deep fried.
Yeah, like fried okra or something like that.
Yeah, like when you if I'm making fried chicken, I'm not putting it in a deep fryer. I'm pan frying it in cast iron, half filled with oil.
Half filled with oil, yeah.
And that's what he's going to do with his nuggets, whereas mine are actually double breaded, put in a deep fryer. They're going to be completely different. It's going to be crazy.
I'll take some video so you guys can see it next episode.
Yeah, we'll definitely run video behind us, probably have pictures kind of swipe behind us, kind of like you guys seeing the our smokers in episode 5.
Yeah, I'm excited to try the way that's going to have a little bit of a gravy with it because I've never done it before, and it just makes sense to do it this way to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, the cast iron. I'm excited to see what's going on with your cast iron, your new cast iron, because I think that's something that's very important for people who've never been in the cast iron cooking before. Is they may not have heirloom cast iron that's been passed down through their family, so they might have to go buy some cast iron. And there's no shame in that. Go buy you a brand new piece of cast iron from the Lodge store or wherever, and Dick will show you next episode how he's going to season up a brand new piece. And I think there might be a blog post coming out sometime in the future on southerndreamshomestead.com about the same thing. I'll get into some pretty in-depth stuff on there about cast iron and how to take care of it and some good cast iron recipes.
Yeah, and here's a hint. It's just a bunch of bacon grease. That's the trick.
Heat and grease. That's all it is. Heat and grease, no matter what the grease is, but bacon grease.
Yeah. And we were speaking about making sausages and smoking meats and how that plays into cast iron because I have a cast iron smoker. So I love cast iron to the point that even when I'm smoking meats, I'm smoking it in cast iron.
You're still using cast iron.
I'm cooking potatoes, cooking in cast iron.
I guarantee you the inside of that thing is seasoned beyond belief. It is probably the best seasoned I've ever seen any piece of cast iron.
I just recently scooped the bottom because about once a year I'll clean all the fat that is dripped out.
Right.
And it was pretty nice.
My dad, bless his heart, he had a grill that he liked to grill on, but he didn't like to clean the grill. Yeah. So I went and stayed with him for a couple of nights when he was, not feeling too good, and he wanted me to grill some pork chops. And I said, "Yes, not a problem. I'll do that." So I pulled the grill out and opened up. My dad, do you ever clean this grill? I was like, "No, son, that's just seasoning." Dad, that's stainless steel. You can't season stainless steel.
I mean, you can. You just have to do it really hard. I think he proved that you could.
Well, he just let the stuff crusted on there. He made a whole new coating around the racks. It was like burnt on food and stuff. But
yeah, mine has the.
You got the cast iron grate. I was going that far to say if you got the cast iron grates and stuff too.
Well, not only that, but mine sits at a level, and I have a drip hole. Yeah. So there's always a spot on the ground where all the neighborhood dogs come and lick after I've smoked.
Yeah. All the possums.
Yeah. So it's never like, it's not like I'm got grease this thick. It's like touching the bottom of, but it gets,
always have some in there.
Yeah, it stays coated with different fats and greases.
Different fats and greases and a little bit of ash here and there. And you could probably render that stuff down and cook with it.
Yeah. And I guarantee it's delicious because when every time I clean it, it smells like you just want to eat it, but you don't. You don't want to eat it.
You don't want to eat that.
No, it's definitely spoiled fat. You don't want to eat that.
Yeah.
But it's been smoked, so it stays for a pretty good while.
Yeah. It doesn't go rancid as fast, but it will go rancid eventually.
Oh, man. But it smells amazing.
Speaking of rancid, I got to make sure that I get some buttermilk when I go out to get my liver because I don't want it to taste rancid. I got to get get that soak going on. So let me go get that liver and the buttermilk. So
speaking of rancid, we must be at the end of the episode.
We
always talk about nasty at the end.
Yep. Well, that's it. I'm Mike.
And I'm Dick.
And we appreciate you listening to this episode of the Flavor Savors. Make sure you follow us on all of our social media channels, and we will catch you guys next week talking about liver.
Yeah, and how we're going to make it. It's going to be amazing.
It's going to be delicious.
Even if you don't like liver, come stop by.
You'll like it. I promise. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Flavor Savors podcast. Be sure to follow us on our socials listed in the show notes below. We'll catch you next week with a brand new episode.